So the concern over Biden's ability to lead another 4 years is absolutely impacting the minds of voters right now. Our new ABC News poll with the Washington Post and Ipsos shows that 2/3 of Americans say President Biden should step aside, and that includes 60% of Democrats. Senior reporter Catherine Fallers has been following the numbers. So voters expressing big concerns, clearly, about Biden's age, but also former President Trump's. So let's talk about the numbers. I mean, there's not much of an age difference between the two.
No, there's not. And while this poll has a lot of numbers, a lot of comparisons, in terms of Trump's age, we know that 60%, at least in our poll, say that Trump is too old for a second term. This is a new time high for former President Trump. Our last poll had him at 44% in the spring. You can see the graphic there. Of course, Biden is leading with that question. But the reality of it is that it is showing that voters do have a concern, and not just about President Biden's age. Of course, that's more concerning to voters, but also about former President Trump's. Of course, they're both old, as you say. It is having an effect on the minds of voters. We'll, of course, see if that plays out come November.
Does the poll show any good news for the president?
Look, it's not the greatest poll for the president. It does show that at least he has, I think he has a 17-point lead in the personal favorability among voters. But other than that, there's not too much here. You can see his favor right there, his personal favorability, 42%, 34%. So he very clearly leads Trump in that category.
And finally, we just learned the Biden campaign is now polling on the possibility of a Harris candidacy. Our pollster surveyed voters on a hypothetical matchup between Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. What do those numbers show?
Yeah, those numbers were interesting. They were 49-46 Harris-Trump, so a slight lead there. But what's fascinating, and you just mentioned it, is we're learning now that the Biden campaign is doing their own head-to-head matchups internally. This is campaign internal polling. They're doing matchups against Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump. This obviously represents a strategic shift for the Biden campaign. It's raising all sorts of questions about whether Biden will step down or not now. The Biden campaign, for its part, says that we shouldn't think that this is just because Trump has been mentioning Harris more on the campaign trail. Kira.